The 1931 Universal Pictures Frankenstein movie might be the most famous adaptation of Frankenstein, or at least the monster it made is. The movie is based on Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, but more specifically, it is a movie adaptation of a play written by Peggy Webling. The movie and the play follow a similar plot to the book. Henry Frankenstein, Victor Frankenstein in the book, brings a creation to life and regrets it. Many of the differences between the movie and the book can be explained by choices Peggy Webling made. Some of the differences include the many name changes, the omission of the framing sequence with Captain Walton, and the monster being held captive rather than being abandoned. The movie's pretty good. I think it does a good job at portraying some of the ideas presented in the book. Like the book, it is a cautionary tale on not creating life in an unnatural way. It portrays the monster in a somewhat sympathetic light, and it displays the importance of taking care of your family and letting your family take care of you. The cast is great. Colin Clive did a great job at portraying the mad scientist, and his delivery of "It's alive" is iconic.
Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Boris Karloff literally defined how Frankenstein would be portrayed in the future because his portrayal was so good. While I like the cast and do believe the movie does a good enough job, I think the play does a better job at adapting the book than the movie. I think the play does a better job at adapting the book because it covers the important parts and the changes fit the book. The play goes over the monster's growth, while the movie keeps him the same. The play also goes over Victor and Dr. Waldman's relationship. This is important because Dr. Waldman is in the main cast, and is one of the few that Henry tells about the monster. Dr. Waldman in the book is a very minor character. In the play, he becomes very important. He is Victor's mentor and peer, and we learn that Henry relies on him during the prologue. The movie changes Dr. Waldman. He goes from being an important doctor to being a stand-in for the Catholic Church. It would make sense for a movie to be very similar to the play it's an adaptation of, but it isn't. The play script was adapted by John L. Balderston to a movie script, and he made many changes. More changes came when James Whale started directing the movie. The changes start at the beginning. The play starts with Henry Frankenstein bringing to life the already completed corpse. The movie starts with Henry Frankenstein robbing corpses to complete the corpse. Both movies cut out Captain Walton. I think that cutting out Captain Walton is a good idea for brevity's sake. The letters are full of a lot of old references that aren't understandable to a modern audience. One change I don't like is the less sympathetic light the movie casts on the monster. I don't like this change because it's not accurate to either the book or the play it's supposed to be based on. The movie dehumanizes the monster by having him not speak in full sentences, having him kill more than just the girl at the river, and removing the scenes with Katrine that show him making a friend. The monster in the play is able to speak in full sentences. The monster in the movie is dumbed down quite a bit and is portrayed as more of a wild animal than in the play. The explanation for why the monster is more violent: in the play, the monster is able to talk in full sentences. The movie dumbs the monster down and portrays him as more of a wild animal than in the play. The explanation for why the monster is more violent and less coherent is part of why the movie starts off with Henry robbing graves. Henry needs to complete the monster. The last part he needs is a brain. When Henry sends Fritz, who isn't in the play, to fetch a brain, he steals it from Dr. Waldman. Dr. Waldman taught at the university Henry attended before dropping out, and had 2 brains in his classroom for his students to look at. The brains were there for the students to notice the differences. One brain was a normal brain, and the other was a criminal brain. Fritz ended up taking the criminal brain, which is supposed to lessen sympathy for the creature. Setting phrenology aside, that is a very goofy explanation for why the monster in the movie is inherently evil. Even though the monster's brain is a criminal brain, the monster hasn't committed any crimes, yet they treated him like a dangerous criminal rather than a baby. In the play, he was about 6 months old at the beginning of Act 1. In the movie, he was a few days old when Dr. Waldman attacked him. The movie also tones down the deplorable things that Henry does to the monster. In the play, Henry tortures the monster. He makes him grovel and kiss his feet. Keep in mind, these behaviors from Henry were shown even before the monster did anything wrong. The movie does a poor job at toning down Henry's behavior, because instead of just not torturing the monster, Henry's assistant, Fritz, tortures him instead. So even though Henry wasn't directly the cause of all of the monster's pain, he was still complicit and participated to some extent. I still like the movie for what it is, and I don't hate every change the movie made, but I do dislike many of the changes. One of the changes I like is to do with the monster's look. The iconic Frankenstein look made by this movie was not a part of either the book or the play it was based on. The book didn't describe the look of the monster in great detail, and the play frequently stated that the monster looks very similar to Henry. I like this change to the monster's appearance because I like the way it looks. It's frightening, it's iconic, and it is what inspired many similar depictions of the monster in other adaptations of Frankenstein. I like the change to the monster's appearance because I like the way it looks. It is frightening, it is the iconic look that most people, including me, associate with Frankenstein, and it is what inspired many similar depictions of the monster in other adaptations of Frankenstein. I think that people who enjoyed the book, Frankenstein, will enjoy the play, and I think that the movie is enjoyable if you prefer the pop culture